Hello everybody, this is Ryan over at High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, like, subscribe. Today I wanted to talk about Fat Man's top tips, top 3 tips actually, to losing weight, and can you do it over 40? That is some of the questions that I get asked in my DMs and stuff like that quite a bit. And I wanted to address the issue because I actually go through it myself. So I originally started off, I was 405 pounds. I'll show a picture here if you haven't seen it before. And I was like, this ain't working for me. I was doing the keto. Keto wasn't working. If you haven't seen this, I've got quite a few videos. I'll just post one here. You can go watch it after this. But my top 3 tips, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to tell you what I've been through, what I know that doesn't work, what I know that does work. This shouldn't be too long of a video. I just wanted to get the message out there so people can, it's very easy stuff to do too. It's not like you got to, buy a bunch of equipment, or you got to, do this, or you got to get a membership here. You got to, whatever it is. I'm not trying to sell you a pill. I'm not trying to do anything. There's just 3 easy steps. So the first time I came across these steps, I was doing keto and I was very overweight. My kidneys were shutting down. My liver was having a hard time. I smelled like vinegar all day long. I was throwing up stomach acid, and I was 405 pounds. I could get them around 5 because I was a weightlifter for a very long time, so I got a lot of muscle mass on me. So getting around wasn't an issue. I wasn't really getting winded. I know a lot of fat people or overweight or whatever you want to be called do struggle with getting winded, upstairs or whatever it is. I did not have that issue, right? That was not my breaking moment. A lot of people are like, man, I couldn't even get up a flight of stairs at my house, and I can't handle this anymore. That was not mine. My issue, the reason I got into this was I had organs that were not functioning anymore. So I was researching, and I'm like, I was doing the keto, I was doing carnivore type thing, and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't think this works anymore. And my girlfriend at the time was vegetarian, and I'm like, I'm going to start looking into this. And one day I had to go down to, I was living in Philly at the time. I was living in the north end of Philly, and I had to go down to Philly, and a lot of the times I would just take the train down. And I took the train back home, and the train station was attached to this crazy guy, Arnold, over at Arnold's Way in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. And he had this thing called a green smoothie. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. But for whatever reason, he was kind of crazy enough. I like kind of crazy, not like too crazy, but like just out there people that are actually doing their thing. And I'm like, all right, I'll listen to you. And he had this green smoothie, and I drank it. And I'm like, you know what? I think I could do this. I think I could run with this. And I kind of cold turkeyed at one point I was actually eating 40 pounds of meat a week, like meat, dairy, eggs, combined protein shakes, about 40 pounds a week. And I'm like, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. I can clearly see that I'm killing myself. I'm throwing up stomach acid. I smell like vinegar all the time, and I'm really getting tired of it. I'm going to give this a shot. And I did. But unfortunately, when I first got started, I was only doing 1 meal a day. I don't know why I thought that would be the way to go. And I was losing weight, but it wasn't sustainable. And I eventually started binging, and binging hard. I started buying pizzas again and all that kind of stuff. And it was really good, getting out of control. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what, bro, you can't keep doing this. You're going to shit or get off the pot, basically. And I'm like, finally, I'm just going to do this. I did it. And what is step number 1? I did not pay attention to the other 2 steps. The number 1 step that I paid attention to was cleaning up my diet. That is step number 1. Your diet. I went vegan. That scares a lot of people. A lot of people are like, I can't give up my meat. I can't give up this. I was eating 40 pounds of this stuff a week, and I gave it up. And it didn't take me very long. And I didn't have cravings for it after that at all. Gave it up really easily. And the weight started coming off, but I kept dairy in for whatever reason. And then the month that I dropped dairy, which was about a month or 2 into going vegan, I dropped dairy, and I literally lost like 40 to 50 pounds in 1 month. 1 month. So my tip is clean up your diet, get rid of the animal, get rid of the dairy, get rid of the stuff out of your diet, and see what happens. Okay. My suggestion to you is to at least start off the day with 10 to 15 bananas. I know that sounds crazy. Just get a blender, blend them, make a smoothie, maybe add a little bit of sugar, do whatever you got to do. Maybe add some mangoes, flavor it up. Bananas are kind of like the tofu of the fruit world, basically. You can flavor bananas however you want to, unless they're super ripe. When they're super ripe, then they take over everything. But don't eat green bananas. Don't eat yellow bananas. They got to be spotted. I'll put a picture of them up here. Got to have spots. Otherwise, don't bother with it. It's not ripe yet. If the peel makes a lot of noise when you're peeling it, it ain't ripe yet. It is not ripe yet. So start off the day with 10 to 15 bananas. That's kind of how I got started. I made a green smoothie. So if you want to add greens into it, add organic greens, bananas, water, blend it up, drink it, and you will definitely notice a profound difference. I mean, profound. Do not try to restrict calories at all. That is that is a part of tip number one. Part of tip number one, do not restrict calories. Eat until you are full. But don't eat the other stuff that you've been eating till you're full. Eat carbohydrates till you're full. 100% high carb, low fat. Do not add fats into anything. If you want to see other videos about this, I've got plenty of videos on here. Do not go above like 10 to 20 grams of fat a day. So if you've got it, transition into this slowly. At least the other foods that you're eating in a day, do not add oil. Do not add fats in at all. You'll start noticing a massive difference, even if you're not 100% vegan in the beginning. Don't add in fats. I cannot emphasize that enough. So once you're ready, do meal number 2 of the exact same thing that you did for breakfast. Don't worry about variety. Variety is not the key to life when it comes to diet. It just confuses you and it takes you out of your element. And this way you actually know what you're going to do, right? So tip number 1, high carb, low fat for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Don't add fats in. It will definitely point you in the right direction. You will start noticing a massive difference pretty quickly. If you do not, then you've got a lot of metabolic damage that you've really got to get dealt with. But tip number 2 is while you're doing this, 100% you got to be hydrated. So you should be peeing clear, like 10, 15 times, or 10, 12 times a day, every couple of hours or whatever it is. Every time you go to pee, make sure that it's clear. You've got to be hydrated, because when you are losing weight, when you're losing detox, all these toxins out of your body needs water to get rid of that stuff. So the more hydrated you are, the better off you're going to be, the better your skin's going to look, the less symptoms you're going to have of any kind of detoxes you might go through. 100%. Drink enough water. Keep a gallon with you. I like the recyclable gallons. That way I'm not constantly throwing out plastic. Do I have one here? Like this, the gallon. Reuse that thing I've had that thing for over a year now. Just keep filling it up. I like filtered water. Do what you got to do. Reverse osmosis, whatever it is. Distilled. Just make sure you get the water in. You got to get the hydration. You got to get the food correct. And tip number 3 is you got to get enough sleep. Tip number 3. Now, I'm not a huge advocate of you got to go to bed early. I'm just an advocate of you got to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Some people only need 6. If you're going to go 100% raw vegan, then you might only need 6 hours. I know when I'm 100% raw vegan, I only need 6 hours of sleep. That's it. That's all I need, and I'm good. If I add in starches, maybe I need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It's a little bit different. Largely because the raw foods digest so much quicker. And so the less time your body spends on digestion, the less energy it needs for other things. And you can get away with only getting 6 hours of sleep. If you want to accelerate your fat loss, your weight loss, just go 100% raw vegan. I've got a lot of videos on that. I just wanted to get a quick message out there. I showed a picture of myself in the, when I started this. You can see me now. I'm definitely not as fat as I was back in the day. I still have weight to lose, but I'm in my 40s now. And I can tell you that it's very possible to do in your 40s. I honestly haven't noticed any difference weight loss coming off wise in my 40s than I did in my 30s. I really haven't noticed any difference because I'm eating the right foods. You got to eat the correct foods to get the correct results. If you don't have the correct foods, you can't get the correct results. And so what do you got to do? You got to starve yourself. You got to be on the cardio equipment. You got to, you exercise more, eat less. That whole model, it doesn't make any sense. Why would any creature on this planet do that model? It does not make sense. It does not make sense for anybody. Imagine if you go out into the nature, right? Do you see any other creature out in nature with a little clipboard saying, well, I only had this many calories today. I can't eat that nut or I can't eat that leaf. No, they just eat until they're full and then they stop eating and then they do it again. This is how you've got to live. Do not restrict. Eat high carb, low fat. That is tip number 1. Tip number 2, get enough water. Water. Water is not tea. Water is not coffee. Water is not juice. Water is not anything other than water. Imagine trying to wash your dishes with watermelon juice. Would it do you any good? No. So you've got to make sure it's just water. Tip number 3 is get enough sleep. Get it whenever you can. I don't really believe in splitting up sleep. I don't take naps. Some people do. Just make sure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That you're high carb, low fat. You get enough hydration. And at some point, you will get to the position that you want to be weight-wise. And that is my fat man's tips. I have come a very long way. I've lost over 140 pounds in these years. And I know that it works. When it hasn't worked is when I've added in more fats. When I add in more fats, I start getting fatter. And that is why I haven't lost the weight 100%. Because I kept adding in the fats. I'm like, oh, I can do it now. And you can't. There's at no point that you can add in the overt fats until you are at a place where your body can actually handle them and you are in a maintenance phase. But that might take you quite a while. It might take you a couple of years, depending on how much weight you've got to lose. But high carb, low fat, it's the only way you can do it. That's what we're built to eat. That's what, if you look at the enzymes of our bodies, that's exactly what they're set up to digest. And this might take you a while. So if you go on high carb, low fat, and all of a sudden you're bloated and you're this and you're this, your microbiome is going to take a little while to catch up to what you're eating. It's just going to happen. So you might be bloated in the beginning. You might be this in the beginning. You might be retaining water a little bit in the beginning. Just let it happen. You've got to be consistent with it. Consistency is the key for anything in life. People think that, I don't know, it takes you, like if you're a basketball player or a football player or whatever it is, people think, well, it's going to take you like 10 years to really get good at this. But they somehow think that a diet is all of a sudden supposed to work in a day or two. So, as soon as it doesn't work in a day, they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Got to do another one. And all of a sudden, they go crazy. And then they start binging. And the reason why is, for whatever reason, we know that everything else takes a while to perfect. But for whatever reason, diet's supposed to work overnight. And it just doesn't work that way. So that's a bonus tip number 4, is don't think that this is going to be a cure-all pill that you take and all of a sudden you're the weight that you want to be. Tip number 4, bonus tip, consistency is key. If you don't have consistency, you're not going to get anywhere with it. And you're going to be on the yo-yo fat your entire life. That's it. My message. Unless, of course, you get your stomach stapled or whatever other method it is. And even then, that's very dangerous. I've had 2 family members who have done that, and they both wish they didn't do it. High carb, low fat. That's how I've done it. That's how you're going to do it. And if you have any questions, comments, whatever, leave them down below. Give me a like, subscribe. I'm going to do a question and answer probably for the Monday of next week. If you got questions about this, leave them down below. If you're new to this channel, like, subscribe. I'm trying to get the message out there as much as I can, because everybody brags about being the big guy, but it's not always the funnest thing in the world, right? Clothes aren't the easiest to find. People kind of walk on the other side of the street of you because they know you're so big that they couldn't get away from you if you did actually manage to get, people have these things now because of all the messages out there, they got to stay away. It's not the funnest thing in the world at all. I've been there. I can tell you, like I've had friends who are like, oh man, I would love to be your size because I had a lot of muscle on me. I'm like, you really don't. And some of them did hit my size and they're like, you're right. I don't want to be here. I don't care what anybody says. It's not fun. So high carb, low fat, enough water, sleep. That's it.